Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimadananda Tirtha Bhagavatpadacharyo Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Nidhi Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparita Mati Prabodhan Vadan Rasya Kritavan Vividatvavadam Sarvesvaro Haririti Pratipatakam Tam Ananda Tirtha Munivaryam Namami पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनुवे सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विश्विदावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Welcome friends once again to our Kathopanishad journey. We are continuing the third chapter of the second Adhyaya where we have left from last week. Basically, now we are going to find, because we have seen so far, how, the sadhanas we have to do, how to get ourselves into our own internal moving so that, we are able to realize our full potential as well as full capabilities and how to evolve, because that's what, we have been in general seeing in all Upanishad, particularly in Kathopanishad. Now we have come into the last portion of the third chapter where it is giving some yogic techniques to do it. So that yogic techniques we have seen in to some extent in a limited way, and we will be also seeing some of the contours of that yogic experience which we can have. This will basically be given a directional sort of a pathway for us to realize, but the actual realization each one of us will have to do in our own way. There is no sort of a common, the sort of a common one set fit all, because that type of a technique is not there, but each one of us are different by our experiences. I can't explain you by my experience what you are, nor you will be able to explain me by virtue of your own experience, but we do have our own sort of a experience as well as our own sort of attitudes, mindset with which we are trying to evolve. So that's why it becomes different. Why this happens, we will be seeing it. That is what it is trying to tell. And in that context, it is also trying to tell how if the same power is activating everyone, why each one of us are having a different experience. Each one of us are having a different sort of a mindset. So that, because we have to be brought into a common denominator where we will be able to find out the basic exchange of sort of directions in which we will be able to gain. That's what, because basically the Upanishad attempts that. Why we are different, because of each one of us are having experience. What that, because makes us different, in terms of our experience, in terms of our mindset, which has come out of the experience, because by which, because we are trying to, because our personality is being, sort of brought out into this world, and we do have a ripple effect, because people will view us from the way we are projecting ourselves with our personality. What makes us to project ourselves with our personality? What makes us do? But because every day we are also trying to find, because we will be evolving. When we are evolving, because our personality will also undergo a change. But are we able to realize that? But only by others' experience or others' view, we will be able to come to know of that. That makes the difference. When we are trying to always look for others' view on us, because how the others are reacting on what we are doing, then we are trying to give us up out, because everywhere, and we are trying to live up to what is expected of us in the eyes of others, and we miss our core sort of awareness of ourselves. We miss our, the opportunity to love us ourselves, to know ourselves. And once you know, because nothing will bother you in this world, because you understand, you are not going to be accumulated, all those sort of, the cobwebs of, ideas, which you think, others are having on you, will not be sort of a conditioning you to work in this world. This is what exactly why, because yoga is required, why yoga is being taken, why meditation is done. Why? Because when meditation is done or yogic exercises are done, and you are trying to concentrate on your own senses, you are trying to concentrate on your own sensibilities and your own thoughts and you are trying to clean your thoughts as much as possible. As we have to clean our house every day, we will have to clean our thoughts. And once you are cleaning the thoughts, I think, because then you are making it in some sort of a datum, where it is clean, so that, because the fresh thoughts can come. The fresh thoughts, and always it is not the desirable thoughts. You will also get along with that lot of unwanted thoughts also. By practice, by abhyasa, as is said in the Bhagavad Gita, by repeated, because the self-reflection, we will be able to remove the unwanted thought. The thought, which is going to work for us, because to make us more, capable of understanding ourselves, bring out our own potentialities, and we will be able to excel in everything, whatever we are going to do. And that will be, because every day is progress, because what I am yesterday, because I can do it, much more better today, and then tomorrow it will be better than what I am doing today, because that is what is life is. And it's not that you will have to consciously focus on what I am doing better, because yesterday I drank a cup of water, because in some other cup, and today I am going to take. That's not the case. Here, even when you are going to take, whether you need the water, and if you need the water, because when you need it appropriately, you will take it and you will not postpone it. But once you have taken it, that's all. Then you will be going on to the next thing, because you will always going by what the needs are, not that what your wants are. This is exactly the difference. Because why it is different? Why wants are different from the need? Because the need is based on what your body needs. If I need, because now I had, sort of a choke in my sort of a there was choking, though I had to take some water and I felt thirsty, I have taken the water. When I don't need, I don't have to take the water because someone else is taking. Someone says every day you take 10 glasses of water, that makes good. But it may be good. But as long as you know what is needed for you, when you are taking appropriately, nothing will happen. When you are trying to impose, when you are hungry, if you take the food, nothing happens. But if you say, I will have to take by 8 o'clock this, even if you are not hungry, that's going to affect you. So likewise, lot of things, we are trying to get it imposed in our life because, we think, because that is what is going to do it, as far as, whether we need it or not, because never we are able to focus on. That is where the awareness of ourselves, knowing ourselves, what is that we need, because we are not knowing, but what we want is always coming forth. How it is what we want is coming forth, because we see, because and our own, by experience, someone has done it, and there's so many people are recording. WhatsApp is coming. I have done that, I find this improvement, and this takes away, all your problems, and this and that. You go on getting influenced by all those things. But once you understand yourself, you will do everything as you would be needing it. Your need will be based on what actually, because your requirement at that point of time. The want is not your requirement. What is not your need, because want is that, the creation of the mind. That's why, the thought, when the thought comes, how it will come. The process of the thought is there is a perception. First, there is a perception because when you are going to the train railway station, you got a perception, because there is a ticket counter and all. You might have gone to railway station maybe 2 years before. You might not have had an occasion to go now. Now you go, it might have been digitized. The counters would have been changed, because the way of doing the things are different. Even if you go to the counter, they will say, because if you can do it online, we will help you, or they will ask you to go to some other counter where they will help you to get it done online, because it's all digitized, because no longer, the human intervention is there. So then you will have to come to, you cannot go with the, because when you expect, you expect, what was your experience, prior experience that guides you. That's why, because it's always then your thoughts, it is being said, because that always based on, your experience, which has been, because you might have found, very comfortable experience sometime before, and that brings you the thought, perception comes out of that. The perception, then it creates an expectation. So based on the expectation, you go, but actually things are different. Then you should be able to have sort of the ability to understand, yes, and adopt it yourself. The human being, they are the most successful creature in the world. We are not extinct, like other animals, because as Charles Darwin has said, that the most important quality what all the human beings we have is adaptability. adapting to the climate, adapting to the culture, adapting to the place, adapting to the time, because that is what is important. To be, leading the life in this world, you need all those adaptations. So a lot of, because the animals, dinosaurs couldn't adapt, to the changing, because they were in Jurassic era. When subsequent era came, because before that, when the change was occurring, they were not able to adapt. So that's why they have gone. So many creatures have extinct, because they are not able. You try to bring in sort of polar bear in India, because you will not be able to survive. The condition is not that. But whereas human being, because we will try to create a condition, in which we can live and all. We will try to adapt. So adapting, because is adaptability is very, very important to us. Likewise, once you have the adaptability, you will not be having any sort of your own idiosyncrasies. You will not be holding on to some thoughts. I need this. I want this. I do this. You will be able to adapt. So once you are able to adapt, what happens is, because there is no expectation in your mind. So if the expectations is there, because even if you go before going to someone's house, because he might have lived in a house, now he might have moved, because you think, it the same sort of, the setup will be there in the new house also, but the new house, it may be very different. So, but once you go there, you say, then it's okay, because it's the new thing, you adopt, because there is nothing, personal involved, you don't do it. But when something personal, you are closely holding on, your expectations are there. That's why the neuroscientists call, because perception are basically controlled hallucinations. Because the expectations are the hallucination, imagination, fancying, because even if I have not gone to a country, I imagine, because based on what I have seen in the TV and what I have read in the newspapers and what I have seen in the magazines and all. But when you go there, you might find, because it may not be diagonally opposite, but the things will be very different from what I have seen, because for publicity, they would have taken the best photographs and they would have taken the best place, because by the side of the same place, which you have seen, there could have been an awful, because atmosphere may also be there. Then once you go there, only you will realize. So therefore, because when you are perceiving something, your thought comes, your want comes, okay, I want to go to this place, so many things are there. But then, you should not be getting, because befuddled, befuddled. No, you should be able to adapt. Yes, this is the nature of this place. We will have to adapt. We also have some awful things here. We should be able to adapt. That's how it has come. So once it comes, you don't have anything. You accept everything as it is. The acceptance is the greatest part of one's growing. If you can't accept, because what is happening around, because what is available to you, because you can't expect the same thing to be available in acceptance, then the adoption to the place or the circumstances in which you are there and what you have to do, you do that, you will be there. And then, once you know that, you will be going by strictly what you want. And strictly what you want, slowly will be guided by, because once you are able to adopt, faster, then you will be going only by what you need. So once what you need will be based on, because what is the requirement, because of body, mind, and intellect. So body wants water, you will take it. Your mind wants, because look, I will have to go to the library and get this book, because you will go for that. And going to having gone to the library, you will not be going into the some other section. If you want to see the history, because you will go to the history books only. For physics, you will go to the physics section only. But you will not be trying to find, what are all the magazines, what are all the gossips, what are, you will not be trying to go to them. Because once you are able to go by what you want and what you are actually looking for, if you are able to sync with it, your life will be more sort of malleable and wonderful to lead with, because you are constantly being, your wheel of life will be going, in the same circle, nothing will be, even if it is undulation there, you will be able to cross easily. So this has been, but for that yogic, because yoga helps you in doing that. Yoga helps you doing, because you are able to see, you are able to follow some order. So you are able to yama, because it's a niyama. Yama is what you have to do, because like, keeping our body clean, mind clean, and because and then because and doing things in a way in which it can be done not only for us, others can also be make use of it. When you do it in the house, if I have to arrange the books, I will arrange it in such a way. Anyone in the house, maybe will be able to take the appropriate subject what they want it. I will not be putting it around, here and there and all, because likewise doing it. Yama, niyama, and then, pranayama, when you say, because when you are taking few minutes of yours every day, to find, because the just regulating your breath, observing your breath. You are not even observing the breath which is there with you, right from your birth. And once you are trying to do that, because then you are trying to give an attention to your life force, which is constantly sort of going through you, and it is having the five functions, which as we have seen, prana, the name, because prana, apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana, because all those things, it is doing, because it is also taking the energy from the air and giving oxygen, and it energizes in your nerve centers and gives the energy to your blood flow, and as well as the energy when it is being blown, it is also circulating, it is also bring out the toxins and extricate the toxin, and finally, it is also balancing your digestion system. The gut health is more important, because wherever you see nowadays, because that is what is more important rather than medicine or anything like that. Your gut is supposed to be the second brain. Once you do that, the pranayama helps to do bring all those things. Like that is what has been brought up. But once pranayama is there, because then pratyahara is there in the sense you will not be going by wants, and you will be going by only what is need. That is what pratyahara. You will not be going for unwanted things. You will not be feeding the senses, because when they don't need it. But what is required, that only you will be taking. That is pratyahara. So once you do that, because then it is dharana. Dharana is then bringing yourself, all your, because your ears, eyes, and as well as, because you are breathing and, your focus, everything and all, because you will bring into unison, because all of them work in sync, because you will not be, when you are doing at something, you will not be listening to something else, because when you are reading a book and you are listening to the music, okay, because it's not going to help you, because if you're while doing the meditation, because sometimes, the music will be there, and the music takes you, initiates you, and puts you into the meditation, and the music fills the meditation, and then meditation will have to fill the music. So the music will slowly be, is going on, having given you the atmosphere, it will be there, it will have created the ambience, then you will have to go through them. So then dhyana, the dhyana, when it comes naturally, because you are just trying to find out the, because we will see, in the mantras how they are telling. So then you will be fully relaxed because you are not attached to everything and all, because you are going capable of accepting anything comes in front of you, and you are capable of just be, going by what you need, you are not going to be unnecessarily frittering away. Once you do that naturally, your entire system is relaxed. When the system is relaxed, you are not going to have any stress. Stress comes, because when I am going to live up to someone's expectations, when I'm going to live with, what I want than what I need, because then the stress comes. That is where, because it's crossing. That's what, because last two mantras, I will have to just give a brief of it, because having explained, it has got a meaning, because the meaning, which we have to understand in everyday's takeaway. Indriyabhyo param manaha manasaha sattvam uttamam, because the senses, because they beyond the sense of the senses are, not inferior to the mind. The mind, because it is disembodied, and because it is superior. Why is superior? Because it is finally able to get whatever the information is there. It will be able to accumulate and process. And why? Because then, if the mind is being taken over by the senses, what happens, because if you are creating the mind in such a way, it is yielding to the senses, what happens is the energy, your thought is a energy. The energy is being, because it gives you, because senses are not capable of getting the right input from the objects. They give you the input from the objects based on your perception, which is based on your want, not what you need. So naturally, your energy will be dissipated. To avoid the dissipation of the energy and conserve the energy to keep our full potential, therefore, once you go by this process, and senses are, because you will go by senses are required. Without that, you can't experience the world. Only, as I was telling, the only cadaver can, because without the senses, you will not, it doesn't have any activated senses. Once you have got the activated senses with the life force, you will know that, because once you know that, because you will try to do, because once the mind, you will be feeding, in such a way to the mind what is required, what is needed for you. So like, bring the center, the objects, always are creating, because like so many TV ads comes, will you be able to buy everything? because they are trying to bring your attention. They are trying to find your priority, for their product. So when you are trying to give the priority for your product, and if you're going by what you want, then you will be sort of a taken, into a ride. But whereas, what you need, because it's something trying to analyze that, do it, then you will be going by that. So one, that is what, is called dharana, pratyahara, and finally the dharana, you are composing yourself, and dhyana comes. So therefore, from the objects, we bring in the center, to our mind, based on what we need, immediately what is needed. I will not be worried about certain things, which I perhaps may be needing tomorrow, or, because 1 month hence. So now I will be only focusing on that. From that, the mind will be again centered into the intellect. Because sattvadati mahanatma, because sattvam uttamam, because when they said in Indio param manaha, manasa Sattvam Uttamam, Sattvadati Mahanatma. Mahanatma is basically the intellect. The intellect, because basically it gives you the discriminating power. You center it. The mind will also get centered into the intellect, because the intellect and the communication between the intellect and the mind, because the only the like your server, and the processor, they will have to have the communication. So the processor and server, then only the computer will be, or the laptop will be able to give the desired output. So once that is being centered, like concatenation, what we say, because in mathematics we see one put one bracket like this, these brackets can be, because brought in another bracket. The another bracket can be brought in, because we have got different brackets, because the concatenation, they are all inside. So like your, because the senses and the mind, the intellect, and from the intellect, intuition, which we are getting it from the Hiranyagarbha. Mahato avyaktam uttamam, because Mahato avyaktam, were in the cosmic knowledge, which we, from where, we are able to get our sort of our own input through our own intuition, that will be there. And from there, unmanifested. Unmanifested is then one who gives us the power. We can call it the grace, the Mula Prakriti who gives. And finally, when we get that, so from that, because once you center around that, even that, because you see Avyaktat Parapurusha, even beyond that is the final, the Brahman, what we call the person who is the power, who has created this cosmos, and who has given all these, because by this willpower, all the creative power has emanated from the causative factor. Once you get into that, we are part of that entire thing. Not that we become one, because unity, it's not a monoism, in the sense it's not become one and the same with, because we are all bracketed in the concatenation. So in that, because the essence of that particular power will be available to us, in the sense we become identical, that, because whatever little we are capable of, because of our antenna, which we can receive and process ourselves, we get that. It's not that we become, one and the same and all, because we become, of course, once you get that, because the essence you are understanding. Once you understand that, because you don't have to exist, because once you understand that, there is nothing, you have to accept, nothing you have to need and all, because all those things vanish, because you are totally, you will not be, you will be taking everything, there is even the insolent words are there, you will be taking even someone's prices to sky high. That also, no, you will not be, because just being, it will all be going through you, but it will not be conditioning you. This is exactly Avyaktatu Purusha Vyapto Linga Evacha. Linga Evacha, in the sense that there is a Linga, in the sense you need at least something, which has to, even if you have to accept your praise. And look, because I have done so much, because people are praising, certainly, because they are praising so many other people. So I also need praise. So they have praised me and all. That means I am just feeding my ego. My purpose, when I'm relaxed, when the ego goes out, I'm so relaxed and so sort of perhaps now I'm able to live so blissfully, and I am finding myself, sort of composed. Suddenly, all these things now I will be encircling myself with all the sort of luggages. So that's a linga is by the, you need a reference point, to, because you have to build your ego. I'm so and so. I am as bright as sun. I'm as brave as Mars. In those days, poet used to sort of tell all platitudes to the king. Finally they get something out of that. They give some sort of a treasure, to make a living, because that's what they used to do. So it will become like that, because it is not going to take away anything at all. Yajñātvā muchyate jantur Amrtatvam cha gacchati. Now, once he understands, once we understand all these things, want to say, get to that state, where I am only going to live by wants, I am not going to be bothered about anything else, and because in consonance, and I will all be having in sync with, because the like senses are into the mind, centered into the mind is centered into the intellect is centered into the intuition, the cosmic power which comes, and that is into the unmanifested. It's nothing but the grace, because with which I am able to make myself move. And from once I am into that, finally I know parapurushaha, the one who the causative factor. Once the I am only a cause, once the causative factor I understand, because of the causative factor, I am the once I understand, I am no longer an effect, because I am not going to be affected by anything else. So that becomes, you sublimate yourself to that level. That's what it is being talked about. Basically, because what is this body? One of the rational, analysis of the entire thing, because I've already talked about on Federico Fagin, because who has invented this touch screen and microchips, and who was the first inventor of random access memory in the 1970s and all. He was also going about the journey of finding out what is this consciousness. If synaptic connections of the brain are finally going to give a power to being, to sort of make himself into the world, and it should be able to give the sort of a consciousness. If not the consciousness per se, it should be able to create some sort of a consciousness. And why can't we? He did. He attempted. Finally, he realized it is just not possible. You will not be able to whatever you may be saying, you will not be able to recreate love. You will not be able to recreate, because loss. If a person, has lost some property, or is such a person and all, whatever you show it to him in front of him, nothing will be appealing to him, because his mind is so sort of taken over, overwhelmed, by the loss. At that point of time, he will only be looking at the things, but because his mind is already taken into the desert land, because where he is finding, there is no one there and nothing. He is whatever he was holding on has been lost, in the sense, his mind is somewhere else. So that is, because you will not be able to explain any of those things. But finally, why we are bringing all these things is, because we are able to because once you get into the state, and once you are center everything, one into the other, like a concatenated, one in the other, like a box in box. Finally, you get into that, you will accept everything. Acceptance, because there is no choice. Did we have a choice? Because when we come through the parents, we don't have a choice. Did we have any choice? When a boss is being appointed over us? So we don't have any choice, but it happened. It happened in the scheme of things. But we will have to wait through, we will have to manage through, and we will have to go through, because that is what, exactly. Once you accept, you will have the wherewithal to go through and all those things. And this yogic exercise, the yogic, because the launch pad, when they said, try to reflect every day. Maybe, because you may be doing a meditation, or you may be doing a puja, or you may be doing, your own sort of a spiritual exercise, because sadhanas will be there. So many streams are there. You may be following. Be sincere to it. Take, because Vivekananda has said there are so many thoughts. Take one thing and take a goal. Follow it, try to find, because how it is, because trying you find in yourself, and always, we have gotten a sort of the mindset to think, there is something wrong with the system, but we are not able to find what is wrong with us. So that will come through only when you sincerely follow, because then, because maybe, I do have some sort of inefficiencies in me, or in capacity, I will have to build up, to do all those things. Once you do that, slowly you will find yourself. But you will have to be open-minded, sincere, and try to do that, and don't be taken away by everything and all. Even a few minutes, 5 minutes, of self-reflection is good enough. And that's why, whatever is being sort of a propagated, or being advised, with the master, realized master, is once you know that, once you have understood these things, perhaps, you are already in a meditative state, you don't have to worry about that. But then, you will have to keep yourself, and like, every day as you are cleaning the house, every day you will be pummeled with the thoughts. So every day you will have to do the sadhana, whether it is yoga or meditation or any exercise. So this is a emphasis on yoga and meditation, this part of the Upanishad, because that is what is very much needed for you to keep going every day. It's not that you've done once and it's no longer required. It has to be like that. There will be a dirt accumulating because we have got the senses, thoughts are there, senses are there, and senses always bring in the thoughts. The objects are always giving the sort of a impetus, because then all these sensibilities, because the touch, feel, see, because all those things, all the sound, everything, always pummeling you. So they will all be, giving you, taking you away and all. Then once you have to bring yourself, because yourself, compose yourself and bring it. Once you do that, it is a everyday exercise. Once you do that, because automatically it will fall into place. Whenever, why, even the great, sages or, the great gurus, they also do the meditation, or they do why every day, or they do their own pujas, because they do, they have got a particular ritualistic thing and all. Why they are doing this is cleansing themselves, cleansing their thoughts. But if they simply do the ritual, if they have not cleansed themselves, they are not fit enough to be a guru. This is absolutely very clear in our Upanishad and all. So then last mantra, now we talked about a lot last week, was we saw in the na sandrishe trishtati rupamasya. It is in your page 132, 2.3.9. His form doesn't exist within the range of vision. So what we want to realize, the light in our heart, the level, the life power in our heart, or the life power which is moving us, we are not able to realize that, but we think, because I am doing that, because that's why, we have already emphasized, we are not the doers. I am not the doer, because once, unless you have that first concept, because very clear, they will not be able to go further. Once, once you come to know that you are not the doer, who is the doer? The doer is, very much the power and the causative power which is created in the entire, the cosmos, the world, and the all the creatures, and all the plants, animals, and created you also. It is inside you as well. That is a difference. The causative factor, because unlike, because something else, causative factor is different and effective different. Your cause and effect, because is the same. He is here to take care of, because your own, because process of evolution in each one of us, in each animal, in each plant, is there in a different forms. So this is what na sandrishe trishtati rupamasya. You will not be able to get it, because get to know from the ocular, vision and all. Na sakchushaha pashyati kaschana. None can see with the eyes. Eyes in the sense, because the sensible, the sensory eyes. You will have to see to what we call is jnana drishti, in the sense why you are able to jnana drishti. Hrida Manisha. Because I say Manisha, last week I explained, Manisha is the one who has the Shiva, because like the power of Shiva is the one which is controlling our mind to keep it clean and all. Shiva is the ultimate, because the potential, the cleanliness of the mind. Not only that, it is the utmost. It is the one, which can finally realize, any high thoughts, anything and all, the cleanest mind without any sort of a stain. That is very important. Once you have conquered your mind, you are called Manisha. Mana Isha is Manisha. That is what Hrida Manisha Manasya Asbi Kliprute. In the sense, once you have gone in that, by controlling the mind, the intellect, the intuition gets revealed. The intuition doesn't come unless you are able to control the mind. If you always have some sort of a conditionalities, always have got some idiosyncrasies, always, working towards some purpose and all, you will not be able to do that, because that's why the intuition is very rarely, because you will be able to get that. Once you get that, the intuition is what, because the thought which comes, which no books would have given you, which no one would have told you, but it all come out of the process of what you accumulated, what you have self-reflected, and gives you the particular idea at that point of time. So when you do that, because when you have to, because even when you have to overcome something, or when you want to achieve something, the intuition is the one finally propels you. The intuition comes out of entire your knowledge and wisdom, everything which you have accumulated by virtue of your own self-reflection. Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, because the process we call it, because part of the yoga, which we have talked about, that is what is finally. So self-reflection is very important. And self-reflection is not necessary, because just because we are telling for your own good, anything, even scholars who have not studied, who doesn't know even a word of, Upanishad, because a lot of avadutas are there, they have all realized, because they have themselves, because that is innate in us, in them. They were able to do that. Yeah, yetat viduhu to amrta bhavanti. The one who knows, because from the control over the mind, you are able to get, because the intuition revealed. In the sense, once you have control, in the sense what, because you will only be going by what is immediately needed, because even a sage, if he has to take some food, he has to survive. Whatever is available, because he will not be going for something which is not available. Whatever is available, whatever is offered, he will take it. He will not be bothered about it. So likewise, then he goes, then, he will be given, next time food is required, automatically intuition will take him to a place where food may be given. Sometimes even if he may be going with the food, because he knows, he will be capable of keeping himself till such time the next morsel of food is available. Vivekananda, once he was traveling somewhere, because he had to go without the food more than 2 days, because he just couldn't take it. He was just lived on water, and whatever some people offered, after some time, when he had reached a place, then he has taken it. But then, he could take it. He is not, didn't have a self pity. Look, 2 days I am without any sort of a food and all. No one seemed to have offered. No one seems to have any sort of a human sympathy. He is not bothered. It's when it is available, you take it. Because therefore there is nothing, no stress or distress on that. So likewise, that once you take that, because then you are fully relaxed. You are going to be, because what is coming, what is available, and what is happening and all. This has been taken into in this and all. Basically, because this is what essentially, what gives in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the where Sankhya Yoga is being described, because where we have seen, because without expectations, you will have to do, how to do and all. Even Sannyasa Yoga also they have said, and Sannyasa also, because Sannyasa Yoga also, when you have to give up the things, control over the things, not giving up the things. Once you have the control over the things, you will only go by, what is required and what is not. And this has exactly been identified in another, this has been brought out beautifully in another great scripture called Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita is a part of that is, the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, because in the Kanta, 11th Kanta, because there is a basic, the Uddhava Gita, Krishna in his last, the lap, when he is supposed to be leaving this avatar and go to his abode, Vaikuntha, at that point of time, his close friend Uddhava, he feels totally, because he was in grief, because he will be leaving the world, because he doesn't know anything, because Krishna is something like everything to him, friend, philosopher, guide, and everything and all. Not only that, of course, he is someone, who is in control, who was controlling everyone's mind. At that point of, he says, look, look, I will have to go. And I will have to go in the sense, because the entire Yadava clan, or part of it, they will have to go. And he says, because they will have to go, because there is a reason for that. They can't be giving, because they have been so haughty, because they have think what is happening in the world. People think, they are more powerful, they can do anything. That is the stage they think. Because finally he said, no, this should not be happening. The world will be in the safer hands. So they will have to go. And then when they go, and I am also Yadava, and I will also have to go. At that point of time, then, because he gives advice to the Uddhava, that Uddhava Gita is a very famous thing. In fact, today I'm having a session in some time to take. Now, I will also explain next week. It gives you the basic, because the principle by which we can wonderfully be living in this world, especially in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, where everything, because whatever is being discarded will take place, and the human decadence will be the utmost, as no one could have imagined in any time in any other Yuga. That's what has been said in Adhyatma Ramayana as well as in Uddhava Gita, in so many other scriptures. So these are all said in the sense human mind is capable of getting into such a level, no one can reform it. Anyway, I think, with this, we will see this and how to avoid that, how to, because that's what the Upanishad is also telling. We will continue our journey next week. And today I will be limiting with this. And next week, we will also be seeing a part of Uddhav Gita also. Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi, तेजस्विनावदीतमस्तु मा विश्विदावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Yes, madam, do you? Yeah,
Yeah. So can I comment just one small thing? I mean, I was just
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about
sure.
want and need.
Yeah.
Is it like want can